The Blacksmith's Mail-Order Love. An old Western tale of Cowboy, Thomas McKay had written and rewritten the letter 17 times before finally sending it to the Manhattan Matrimonial Agency. Even now, 3 months later, standing at the train station in Copper Creek, Montana, he wondered if he'd been honest enough. Blacksmith, age 32, owns shop and small home. Steady work, good reputation. Seeking wife of good character. Must be willing to live in frontier town. What he hadn't written shy to the point of pain. Stutter when nervous. Virgin at 32. Hands too rough for gentle things. Heart too soft for this hard world. The train whistle pierced the morning air, and Thomas's massive frame tensed. She was on that train, Victoria Ashford, age 28, from New York City. Her letters had been educated formal, giving little away except that she needed a fresh start and was willing to work hard. The train stopped and passengers began disembarking. Rough men, a few families, and then Thomas forgot how to breathe. She wasn't beautiful in the conventional sense. Her features were too strong, her bearing too regal. But she moved like a queen among peasants, her traveling dress worn, but immaculate, her dark hair swept up despite the journey's length. And her eyes green as spring grass, sharp as winter ice, swept the platform with an intelligence that made his stomach flip. Those eyes found him, identified him immediately despite never having seen him before. Of course, he was the only man on the platform who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Mr. McKay, her voice was cultured velvet with an undertone of something else. Russian, I am Victoria Ashford. Miss Ashford? The stutter came immediately, as it always did with strangers. Welcome to see Copper Creek. Something flickered in her eyes of disappointment, but her smile remained steady. Thank you. Shall we collect my things? Her things were 2 trunks and 3 carpet bags, everything she owned in the world, Thomas realized. He lifted the trunks easily, his blacksmith's strength making nothing of their weight, and noticed her watching his hands. You are very strong, she said, and there was approval in her voice. Yes, ma'am. The work. The ride to his shop was quiet, Thomas fighting his stutter and losing Victoria, observing everything with those sharp eyes. When they arrived, she studied the modest building shop and front living quarters behind with an expression he couldn't read. It's small, he apologized. Not what you're used to. It's perfect, she interrupted, and he heard truth in her voice. Private, defensible, with good sight lines to the street. Defensible sight lines. What lady from New York thought in such terms? I'll show you inside. The living quarters were clean but sparse. He'd scrubbed everything raw in preparation for her arrival, but couldn't disguise the bachelor's simplicity of it all. She walked through, slowly touching surfaces, testing window locks, checking corners like she was memorizing escape routes. The bedroom, he said, gesturing to the larger room. Yea, yours, of course. I'll sleep in the shop. That's not necessary. She stopped, color rising in her pale cheeks. I mean, we should discuss arrangements. No rush. You're here, that's enough for now. She turned to face him fully then, and he saw something raw in her expression. Relief, gratitude, and strangely guilt. Mr. McKay, Thomas, I should tell you something. His heart sank. Of course, she'd taken one look at him, huge, awkward, stuttering, and wanted out. I haven't been entirely honest in my letters. Neither have I, he admitted. She blinked. You haven't. I didn't mention the stutter, or that I'm... He gestured helplessly at himself. Not good with people. Oh, she seemed genuinely surprised. That's all. Isn't it enough, Thomas? She took a breath. I'm not just from New York. I'm from Russia originally. My name isn't really Victoria Ashford. The world tilted. Who are you? Victoria Alexeyevna Romanova. I was Russian nobility. My family fled during the Troubles. We had wealth in New York, but my father invested poorly, trusted the wrong people. When he died last year, I discovered we were bankrupt. Worse than bankrupt, in debt to dangerous men. Thomas's protective instincts flared. Dangerous, how? The kind who break legs first and ask questions later. I sold everything, paid what I could, but it wasn't enough. So I ran, she laughed bitterly, a Russian princess mail-order bride to a Montana blacksmith. If the irony weren't so painful, it would be funny. Princess. Minor nobility, really. My great-uncle was a duke. It means nothing now. She straightened her shoulders. I can cook clean, so I'll earn my keep. I needed to be honest. If you want to send me back, no. The word came out loud and clear, no stutter. I mean, unless you want to go. I have nowhere to go, Thomas. Then stay, princess or not, you're safe here. You don't mind that I lied? You survived. That's not lying, that's being smart. She stared at him for a long moment, then did something unexpected. She laughed. Not bitter this time, but genuine warm. You're not what I expected, Thomas McKay. Neither are you, Princess V. Victoria. Yes, Victoria, please. Victoria Romanova is dead. She has to be. That night, as Thomas bedded down in the shop, he could hear her moving about in the quarters above, hanging her few dresses, arranging her meager possessions. A Russian princess in his home. He should be terrified. Instead, he felt protective, purposeful. He'd written for a wife of good character. He'd gotten a princess in hiding. God certainly had a sense of humor. The next morning, Thomas woke to the smell of something incredible. He found Victoria in the kitchen, flour dusting her cheek, creating magic. "Bleenie," she said, presenting thin pancakes with preserves, "my grandmother's recipe." Thomas took a bite and nearly wept. "This is, I've never—" In Russia, we believe food was love made tangible. She watched him eat with satisfaction. "You needed feeding up. I'm already too big. You're perfect size for Blacksmith, strong, capable." She said it matter-of-factly, but something in her eyes made his cheeks burn. "Now you must teach me about business." "Business? The shop. I watched yesterday you had 7 customers, but you could have had 12 if you'd been working instead of watching me cook." "You were counting. I was observing. You need assistant, someone to take the orders while you work. I can do this. But you're a lady. I'm your wife, or will be. Wives help husbands, yes." The will be made his heart race. Yes, but no arguments. I know nothing of blacksmith work, but I know numbers, organization, people. You know metal and fire. Together we make perfect business." She was right. Within a week, Victoria had reorganized his shop, implemented an appointment system, and charmed every customer with her exotic accent and regal bearing. She never mentioned her past, introducing herself simply as Thomas's intended, but everyone could tell she was quality. "That woman's too good for you, McKay," Jake Summers said, while Thomas reshod his horse. "I know," Thomas agreed. "Man shouldn't know that. Should think he deserves his woman." Thomas looked through the window to where Victoria was negotiating with Mrs. Patterson over decorative ironwork. She'd gotten the woman up to twice Thomas's usual price and made her feel privileged to pay it. "Maybe someday I will." 2 weeks into their arrangement, trouble arrived in the form of Marcus Webb, owner of the competing smithy in the next town over. He strutted into the shop like he owned it, eyes immediately finding Victoria. Well, the mail-order bride I've been hearing about." His gaze was insulting in its thoroughness. "Bit high class for a stuttering ox, aren't you, sweetheart?" Victoria's spine straightened. A tell Thomas had learned meant danger. "I am exactly where I choose to be, Mr. Webb, Marcus Webb. I own the Superior establishment in Millerton." "Superior?" Victoria's smile was sharp as a blade. "Then why are you here studying my fiancé's techniques?" Webby's face darkened. "Your fiancé can't even talk properly." "My fiancé speaks with his work. Quality needs no words." She moved closer to Thomas, her hand resting on his arm, unlike inferior craftsmen who must compensate with chatter. "Why, you little—" Thomas stepped forward, putting himself between Webb and Victoria. Leave now. Or what you'll stutter at me." Thomas didn't remember moving. One moment Webb was standing, the next he was on the floor, Thomas's hand around his throat. "I said leave." No stutter this time. When Victoria was threatened, words came clear as day. Webb scrambled away, hatred in his eyes. "This isn't over, McKay. That woman's got secrets, I can smell them. When I find out what they are, you'll do nothing," Victoria said coldly, "or I'll destroy you." The certainty in her choice made Webb pale. He left, but Thomas knew he'd be back. I'm sorry, Thomas said after Webb was gone. I shouldn't have. Victoria silenced him with a kiss. It was their first soft and surprising tasting of gratitude and something deeper. Never apologize for protecting me, she whispered against his lips. That night, she told him more of her story. Her father hadn't just invested poorly, he'd been swindled by men who specialized in fleecing refugee nobility. When he'd tried to fight back, they'd had him killed, made to look like suicide. I found documents proving their guilt, but who would believe me, foreign woman with no money, no connections? She stared into the fire. So I ran, but I took the documents. Insurance in case they find me. They won't. I won't let them. Thomas, these are dangerous men, connected to criminal organizations in New York, Chicago. This is Montana. Different rules. She looked at him, this gentle giant, who stuttered with everyone but spoke clear as bell when defending her. I'm putting you in danger just by being here. I was in the danger of dying of loneliness. This is better. You barely know me. I know enough. You're smart, brave, kind, and you make the best food I've ever eaten. You don't laugh at my stutter. You make my shop better, make me better. Thomas, and you're teaching me to dance. She blinked. What? He stood offering his hand. In the kitchen yesterday you were humming. Russian song. You moved like dancing. To teach me, there's no music. Then I sing. So she did a haunting Russian lullaby and taught him to waltz in the small space between forge and anvil. He was clumsy at first, but his natural grace, the same that made him an artist with metal, soon took over. You're a natural, she said, breathless from spinning. Good to teach her. He pulled her closer and suddenly they weren't dancing anymore, just holding each other, swaying slightly. Thomas, I should tell you in New York there was a man. My father wanted me to marry him, but he was cruel. He's part of why I ran. Does he know where you are? No, I was very careful, but if Webb starts investigating, then we'll deal with it together. She looked up at him, this sweet, stuttering bear of a man who made her feel safer than all the guards her family had once employed. I don't deserve you. Funny, I was thinking the same about you. 3 months passed in unexpected harmony. Victoria transformed Thomas's simple business into a thriving enterprise, negotiating contracts with the railroad, the mining companies, even the army fort 50 miles away. Thomas, freed from the business side, created metalwork of increasing artistry gates that looked like flowering vines, horseshoes with delicate engravings, tools that were both functional and beautiful. They hadn't officially married yet, though everyone assumed they had. Victoria still kept the bedroom while Thomas slept in the shop, but the distance between them was shrinking daily. They took meals together, worked side by side, and in the evenings she taught him to read Russian, while he taught her basic blacksmithing. Your hands, she said one evening, watching him shape a delicate rose from iron. They're artist's hands. Thomas laughed. Too big, too rough. No, perfect. In Russia we had saying, the hands that can crush can also create. You have such hands. She took his hand, traced the scars and calluses. These tell stories. This one, first time I grabbed hot iron, 7 years old. This fight with my brother, he said I was too slow to be a smith. Was he wrong? He's a drunk in California. I own a shop. You decide. She lifted his hand to her lips, kissed each scar. Every mark made you who you are. The man She stopped blushing. Victoria. Nothing, it's late, we should sleep. But sleep wouldn't come for Thomas that night. The man she loved, could a princess love a blacksmith? Could a woman like her love a man like him? The answer came unexpectedly the next day when Marcus Webb returned with company. Thomas was working on a commission when he heard Victoria's voice sharp with fear. I told you I don't know what you're talking about. He came around the corner to find Webb and 2 well-dressed strangers in the shop. One of the strangers held Victoria's arm. Victoria Romanova, the man said in accented English. Did you think you could hide forever? Thomas didn't think, just moved. The man holding Victoria went down hard, his grip breaking. The second man reached for a gun, but Thomas's hammer was faster, breaking the man's wrist with a wet crack. Webb backed away. They paid me to find her, McKay. It's just business. Get out. Thomas's voice was steady, clear, dangerous. All of you, now. This isn't over, the first man said, holding his ribs. She has something that belongs to our employers. She belongs to me, Thomas said. That's all that matters. After they left, Victoria was shaking. They found me. How did they find me? Webb. Must have sent inquiries to New York, found someone who recognized your description. Thomas. They won't stop. The documents I have, they prove murder, theft, conspiracy. Men have killed for far less. Then we use them. What? Thomas's mind was working faster than usual, plans forming. We send copies to newspapers, police, federal, marshals. Make it public. They can't kill you if everyone knows the story. They'll destroy me, my reputation. You're Victoria McKay, Blacksmith's wife in Montana. Victoria Romanova is dead, remember? Not legally your wife. Then we fix that. Today. She stared at him. You'd marry me even knowing the danger? Especially knowing it. You need protection. I can give it. That's no reason for marriage. No, but loving you is. The words hung in the air between them. Thomas's face went red, but he didn't take them back. You love me. Victoria's voice was small, vulnerable. Since the moment you stepped off that train, maybe before from your letters, you wrote about seeing beauty in simple things, about strength not always being physical. I knew then you were special. Thomas, I'm trouble, danger. You deserve better. I deserve what I choose. I choose you. Victoria launched herself at him, kissing him deeply, desperately. You beautiful, wonderful fool. I love you too. Have for weeks. Really, how could I not? You're the kindest, strongest, most honorable man I've ever known. You make me feel safe, valued, seen. Not as a princess or a refugee, but as Victoria. Just Victoria. My Victoria. Yes, yours. Always. They were married that afternoon by the circuit judge who happened to be in town. The ceremony was simple, witnessed by Mrs. Patterson and Doc Hartley, but the vows were heartfelt. I, Thomas, take you, Victoria, knowing your past, choosing your future. I, Victoria, take you, Thomas, finding my home, claiming my heart. That night, they finally shared the bedroom, and Thomas discovered that his princess was as passionate as she was regal, as giving as she was beautiful. And Victoria discovered that her gentle giant was anything but clumsy when it came to loving her. My husband, she whispered against his chest afterward. My wife, he replied, and realized he hadn't stuttered. Not once since they had entered the bedroom. Victoria, I didn't stutter, I noticed. You don't when you're completely comfortable. I'm always comfortable with you. Not always, but more and more. She traced patterns on his chest. Someday you won't stutter at all. Maybe, or maybe it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Nothing matters except this. Us, together. But the world wouldn't leave them alone. The next morning brought a telegram from New York. Victoria went pale reading it. Dmitry Volkov is coming personally, the man who killed my father. When? 2 days. Thomas, he's dangerous, trained killer, connected to every criminal organization on the Eastern Seaboard. Good, then when he disappears, no one will miss him. You can't kill him. I can protect my wife. Not from him, not from what he brings. She was pacing now, fear radiating. We should run. No more running. This is our home, our stand. Thomas, trust me, please. She stopped, looked at him, her husband gentle with her, but immovable as mountain stone when protecting what he loved. All right, we stand. Thomas spent the next day preparing. Not weapons, though he had those, but something else. He visited every business in town, spoke to ranchers, miners, even competitors. By evening, he had what he needed, a town united. You're one of us now, Sheriff Morrison told Victoria. We protect our own. When Dmitry Volkov arrived, tall, elegant, deadly, he found not a frightened woman and her blacksmith husband, but an entire town waiting. Victoria, he said smoothly, ignoring the armed citizens surrounding him. You've led me quite a chase. It's Mrs. McKay now. Names can change, debts cannot. I owe nothing. My father's debts died with him. But the documents you stole live on. Return them and perhaps I'll let your husband live. Thomas stepped forward. Threaten my wife again, and you won't leave this town. Volkov laughed. You think your little mob frightens me? I've killed more men than you've met. Maybe, but you've never killed a town, and that's what you're facing. Thomas pulled out a stack of telegrams. Copies of your documents, Victoria, sent to newspapers in Denver, San Francisco, Chicago, New York. Also to federal marshals, the Pinkertons, even President Cleveland himself. Volkov's composure cracked. You're lying. Check tomorrow's papers. Full story. Names, dates, murders. Your name features prominently. You've signed your death warrant. No, Victoria said, stepping beside Thomas. We've signed yours, legal death. You're finished, Dmitri. Even if you kill us, the story's out. Your employers will blame you for the exposure. You know what they do to liabilities. Volkov's hand moved toward his gun, but 20 rifles cocked in response. Wouldn't recommend it, Sheriff Morrison said mildly. For a long moment, violence hung in the air like smoke. Then Volkov smiled cold and sharp. Well played, Princess. You've learned the American game well. I learned survival. Now leave. Don't come back. Oh, I won't, but remember you've made powerful enemies today. They have long memories. And I have a longer rifle, Thomas said calmly. After Volkov left, the town celebrated, but Victoria remained nervous. It's not over. Men like him don't forgive. She was right. 3 nights later, Thomas woke to smoke. The shop was on fire. Victoria Bijambwishayanita. He found her already at the window calculating escape routes. They blocked the doors. We go through the window into the alley. They dropped into the alley, but men were waiting. Not Volkov, local thugs hired guns. McKay's woman is bonus. Boss wants her alive. Him dead. Thomas counted 5 men. Bad odds. Then Victoria did something unexpected. She laughed. You think 5 is enough? She pulled something from her nightgown, a small revolver. In Russia, princess learns to shoot before she learns to dance. Her first shot took the leader in the shoulder. Thomas charged the others, his massive frame and Blacksmith's strength overwhelming in close quarters. Victoria's precise shooting kept others at bay. In minutes it was over. The attackers fled or lay groaning. The fire brigade had arrived, saving most of the shop. We make good team, Victoria said, breathless, her nightgown torn and soot-stained. The best, Thomas agreed, pulling her close. Sheriff Morrison arrived, surveying the scene. Want to press charges? No point, Victoria said. They're hired tools. But Sheriff, perhaps you could send message to certain parties in New York. Tell them Copper Creek is off limits. Tell them the Romanov princess died in that fire, and only Victoria McKay survived. Morrison nodded. I'll make sure the message is clear. 5 years later, McKay Ironworks was the largest smithing operation in 3 states. Thomas had 4 employees, 2 apprentices, and contracts with major railroads. Victoria managed the business side with brilliant efficiency, her Russian attention to detail, and American innovation, creating an empire from a frontier shop. Papa, their 3-year-old son, Nicholas, came running into the shop, his mother chasing him with amused exasperation. Kolya, you cannot run in shop. Is dangerous, Victoria scolded in the mix of English and Russian that had become their family language. But Papa promised to show me the horses, Nicholas protested. Thomas scooped up his son, who had Victoria's green eyes and his father's sturdy build. Later, little man, Papa's working. Story, Nicholas bargained. 1 story. Thomas agreed, no trace of Stutter. It had disappeared completely 2 years ago, the last of his old fears conquered by love and belonging. As he told Nicholas about brave knights and clever princesses, Victoria watched with contentment. Her hand rested on her stomach where their second child grew. Mrs. McKay, a young woman, appeared in the doorway, travel-worn and nervous. I'm from the agency, the Manhattan Matrimonial Agency. You sent letters saying you might have work. Victoria smiled. After their success, she'd started helping other mail-order brides find situations, using her connections to ensure good matches. Yes, come in. Tell me about yourself. The woman's story was familiar: poverty-limited options, hope for something better. Victoria listened with sympathy born of experience. There's rancher Mr. Collins, very kind man. Lost wife 2 years ago. Has 2 children who need mother. He's shy like my Thomas was, but good heart. Will he mind that I'm not American? I'm from Poland. Victoria laughed. Dear girl, half of Montana is from somewhere else. What matters is who you become here. After the woman left with Collins's information, Thomas wrapped his arms around Victoria from behind. Another match made. Perhaps she reminds me of myself 5 years ago, desperate, scared, but brave enough to try them. You were never desperate. You were regal. Even covered in train dust, you looked like queen. Queen of what bankruptcy fear? Queen of my heart. From first moment, she turned in his arms. Such romantic words from a blacksmith. I learned from the best. My Russian princess taught me that words can be as beautiful as metalwork. Your princess is just Montana housewife now. No, you're Victoria McKay. Businesswoman, mother, friend to half the territory, and still my princess. Our empire is small, one shop, two children. Three soon. An empire isn't measured in size, but in happiness. We have abundance. They were interrupted by commotion outside. Marcus Webb stood in the street, drunk and belligerent. McKay, your foreign witch ruined me. My shop's bankrupt. Thomas started forward, but Victoria stopped him. Let me. She walked outside, every inch the princess, despite her simple dress. Mr. Webb, you ruined yourself. Poor quality, worse business, Mace. Don't blame others for your failures. You turned everyone against me. I offered to help you, remember? Suggested partnership between our shops. You said you'd never work with a foreign woman. I should have burned your shop better, should have finished the job. The admission of arson hung in the air. Sheriff Morrison stepped from the shadows where he'd been listening. That's confession, Webb. You're under arrest. As Webb was led away, cursing, Victoria felt a chapter closing. The last of their enemies defeated. That night, as they lay in bed with Nicholas sleeping between them, he'd had nightmares. Victoria reflected on their journey. Do you ever think about what would have happened if I'd been honest from beginning? Told you about Russia, the debts, the danger. You wouldn't have come, would have thought I'd reject you. Would you have? Never, but I might have been too scared to write back. The stutter, the shyness, they were worse then. I needed to think you were just simple woman looking for simple life. Instead, you got complicated princess with dangerous past. I got perfect wife with survivor's strength. He kissed her forehead. Though I do wonder sometimes, what our children will think when they learn their mother was actual princess. They'll think what I want them to think, that titles mean nothing. That what matters is what you build with your own hands, your own heart. Like we built, exactly like we built. A letter arrived the next morning that made Victoria gasp. It was from Russia, from a cousin she'd thought dead. The Tsar has pardoned all exile families. You can return, reclaim your lands, your title. Thomas went cold. Yacht. You want to go back? Victoria read the letter twice, then threw it in the fire. Why would I go backward? Everything I want is here. But your heritage, my heritage is survivor. My present is wife and mother. My future is American. Our children will know their history, but they'll build their own destiny. You're sure, Bumman? Thomas McKay, you saved me. Not from poverty or danger, but from becoming bitter cold alone. You gave me love, purpose, home. Russia offers me echoes of dead life. You offer me real life. I love you, my Russian princess. And I love you, my American blacksmith. Nicholas stirred between them. Love too, oh, he declared sleepily, making them laugh. Over the following years, their family grew 2 more children. The business expanded to 3 locations, and Victoria became unofficial matchmaker for the territory, helping dozens of mail-order brides find good situations. She also established a school teaching immigrant children English while preserving their native languages. America is richer for our differences, she always said. Thomas became renowned for his artistic metalwork, with pieces commissioned for buildings in San Francisco and Denver. But his greatest pride was the sign above their original shop, McKay Ironworks, founded 1894, built on love. When Nicholas was 18, ready to leave for university, he asked his mother about her past. Were you really a princess? I was many things. Princess, refugee, mail-order bride. But the only title that matters is the one I chose, your father's wife, your mother. But the adventure, the danger. Adventures end, danger passes. But love endures. Your father taught me that. Thomas, gray-haired now, but still strong, pulled Victoria close. Your mother taught me to speak without fear. Seems fair trade. You always spoke clearly when it mattered, Victoria said. Only with you, only ever with you. Their story became legend in Montana, the shy blacksmith and the Russian princess building an empire from a small shop and enormous love. But they knew the real story was simpler. Two lonely people who found each other across continents and class, who chose love over fear, partnership over pride. When they died within days of each other, 60 years after that first meeting at the train station, Aisha and their children found a note in Victoria's hand. We came from different worlds but built one together. Let no one say that love cannot bridge any distance, overcome any obstacle. We are proof that the greatest treasures come not from what we're born to, but what we choose to build. The blacksmith's mail-order love had become something neither expected a dynasty built, not on noble blood or inherited wealth, but on the solid foundation of two people who saw past surface to soul, who chose each other against all odds, and who proved that sometimes the best marriages are forged in the fires of adversity and strengthened by the hammer blows of challenge. Their descendants still run McKay Ironworks, now an international company. But in the original shop, preserved as a museum, hangs the first piece Thomas made for Victoria, an iron rose delicate as lace, strong as love eternal as their unlikely romance.